Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Before we get into understanding the different types of tests that are available and how do you choose a given test given a business question that needs to be answered, let's look at a kind of a procedure that is required to be followed. So the first thing that you do is really understand what is it that you are testing. Now, are you testing some kind of averages, or are you testing some kind of proportions, or do you want to test whether the variance of one group is different from the other group, etc., or do you want to test something like what the regression coefficients or the regression equation is, whether that is represented over the population or not. So the parameter of interest determines the type of test that you do, and it's you need to be very clear on what is it that you're testing. The second step is really to convert the business question into a set of hypotheses. So in the case of mobile, the claim that gets made is that mu is equal to 96 hours. So you convert it into a null hypothesis of mu is equal to 96 hours, and alternative hypothesis that mu is not equal to 96 hours. Yeah. The third is really computing a test statistic. As I said, the factors that determine this is it a one sample, is it a two sample independent, or is it two sample paired, and also what is the distribution of the population and the sampling. So these determine the kind of test statistic. So using these you really look at a test statistic, and then you determine what is the maximum level of uncertainty or the maximum risk that you want to take in rejecting the null hypothesis, and you choose your alpha. Once you have done that, then you can compute your p and compare your p vis-a-vis the alpha, and then take a decision on your H0. Let's look at some of the common tests that gets employed in the subsequent slides. So here is a list of kind of tests which gets very often used. There are other tests. This is not the complete portfolio of all the tests that are possible, but these tests are the most commonly conducted tests. So let's look at some of them. So if you have a one sample and one variable, and the variable is kind of data which is proportion, and you want to test out whether that variable is equal to a particular value. So let's say you are doing a study amongst somebody comes and says the percentage of women working in IT industry is, let's say, 32%, and you want to substantiate that. So you take a sample of IT professionals, and then you compute the percentage of women in that. So the null hypothesis that you set yourself is that the percentage of women in the IT population is 32% or 0.32. So that's the kind of null hypothesis where you're testing out pi is equal to k. So you can employ the binomial test, or if the sample size is very large, then you can also approximate it to a normal distribution and use a z test. And in case that the one sample test and the parameter that you want to test is a mean, which is an average, and it's a continuous variable, again you can look at the hypothesis is mu is equal to k. It says that, listen, the average salary of women in the IT industry is let's say 50,000 rupees per month. So you are checking out women in IT industry is equal to 50k. So it's again the mu is equal to a particular value, and you would conduct a one sample t-test. And when you're dealing with two different population, so if you have two sets of independent population, and let's say you want to test out proportions. So let's say somebody comes and says that I think the proportion of women working in the IT industry is very different from the proportion of women working in manufacturing industry. So okay, you can take samples from both these industry of all workers, and then your null hypothesis is that the pi of women in IT industry is equal to pi of women in manufacturing industry. So here it's not a value that you are checking the pi against, you are checking one pi equal to another pi. So pi 1 equal to pi 2 is the kind of hypothesis that you are using. Again, with large sample sizes, you can use a Z test. And with again two independent populations, because men is one population and women is another population. And if somebody comes and says, listen, I think the salary, there is a big salary difference in the average salary drawn by women compared to men in the IT industry. So your equation, your hypothesis becomes the average salary of men in the IT industry is equal to the average salary of the women in the IT industry. So you are checking one mean against another mean, and you can do that with the t-test. But because you are handling two different populations, you need to first check whether the variances between these two groups are similar or not. So the kind of test that you end up using, the kind of formula that you use to compute the test statistic varies slightly. So you do that, so you first check whether the variances are different between the two groups using the F test, and depending upon the result of that, you will use the appropriate t-test to really see whether there is a difference between the mu, between the salaries of the two different groups. As opposed to the next case, which is really two sample, which is kind of paired sample. Let's say in a particular, in the same industry, let's say one says, I think the percentage of women working in the IT industry has gone up compared to the previous, let's say the previous 5 years. So you have a set of companies. So the company which is providing you the data are all the same, and you have two sets of data that you have got a percentage of women in, let's say, in time period 2008 to 2013, and again you have computed the percentage of women between 2013 and 2018, and then you want to compare whether these two percentages are the same. The data is coming from the same source, so it's the same entity that's providing you data on what the pi hat is and the pi hat here is, yeah, and then you are comparing whether they are the same or not. Then our hypothesis is pi 1 equal to pi 2, yeah, and you will do something called a McNamara test, which is a kind of a variation of the chi-square test. And if you have two paired data with the measurement is kind of a continuous variable, therefore you want to compare averages. Let's say you want to say check the hypothesis is that I think the average salary in the IT companies have not increased in the last 5 years. So you are really taking company 1 average salary in the previous time period, and you are taking the average salary in the current time period, and you are computing what the averages are, and you want to check out whether these averages are different or whether it's the same. So you can again do a t-test. We will actually look at some examples of each of these tests, not all of them. So at least we will look at the one sample proportion, one sample mean, and then we will look at independent sample proportion and independent sample mean test using some examples with some familiar data sets. So we're going to look at some examples for hypothesis test. We're going to start with some kind of question that gets asked about the data, followed by how do you convert those questions into hypothesis, how do you choose the appropriate test for that, and actually conducting the test and taking decisions on the basis of those tests. I'm going to in the subsequent slides you will see some parts of it which are outputs coming in from the kind of software that you use. So you will learn about how actually to execute these tests in the software and get the outputs in your appropriate software sessions. The data that we are going to use is something which you guys are familiar with. We had used this particular data for descriptive statistics also. So we actually, this data set started with something about 2.7 lakh cars, used cars, and we had the kind of prices that get quoted, the type of vehicle, registration year, which gives an indication about the age of the car, whether the gearbox is manual or automatic, the power outputs, number of kilometers, fuel type, the brand, and whether the car has got any visible damage or no damages. So for purpose of conducting these tests and illustrating the power of these tests, I am going to use samples from this data. So I am going to use samples of 1000 or 500 depending upon the kind of problem that we are tackling. So this is going to be considered as a population from which we have drawn. So we have used random sampling to get the data and then conduct the tests. So let's begin with a one sample test for mean. Supposing the question that gets asked is, we've been running this business for a long time, the used car business. 3 years back, the average price of a used car used to be around $6,000. Now, has it really changed now? As the average of the used car, is it different from what it was earlier? So the hypothesis that we are checking is the mu is really equal to 6,000. So status quo, that the average has not changed over a period of time, because we have the data right now of all the cars, and then we can take a sample out of that, and we are checking out from the sample statistic whether we can conclude that the average price of a used car in the population, is it equal to 6,000 or is it different from 6,000? So the data will suggest to us as to whether we can actually reject the null hypothesis or cannot reject the null hypothesis. Now, because this is the kind of an average that we are using, the sample statistics that we will get out of the data, that sample that we choose will really be the average value, which is an x bar. And because we don't have a good estimate of what the variance in the population is, we are going to use the sample standard deviation will be used as a estimator for the population standard deviation. And the test statistic that we will use is t value. We are going to use a sample size of about 1000, which we believe is large enough, and therefore we can approximate the distribution of the sampling distribution to a t distribution or a z distribution, which is a normal distribution. We are going to use the t distribution for this particular test. We are not looking for extraordinarily strong evidence, so we are going to use an alpha level of 0.05. So that's a maximum level of uncertainty that we are willing to concede. So when we actually do the use the program and and arrive at the kind of computed uncertainty, it turns out that the computed uncertainty is 0.4, which is much higher than the maximum uncertainty. Okay, so the consequence of that is that we will not reject the null hypothesis. So if the computed uncertainty had turned out to be lower than the maximum uncertainty, we would have rejected the null hypothesis. But since it not being the case, we are not rejecting the null hypothesis, and by doing this test we are concluding that the average price is really no different from 6,000. So let's look at what it means. The summarizing the entire thing is, we looked at about 1000 sample size, and the x bar value that we really had was 6118.34. So it was only marginally higher than the 6,000. So while the sample statistics is this, we still ending up saying that the mu is really 6,000. So this number is not sufficiently large enough for, given the sample size, for you to conclude that it is greater than 6,000. Of course, we had used a t-test, and we got a p-value which is 0.4. So let's move on to the next test, please, which we are going to use one sample test for proportion. So here the question that was asked is, 3 years back the percentage of used car with automatic transmission were 23%. So out of the entire population of the used car that we used to have in our portfolio, 23% were automatic transmission. And is it changed? Is there a shift more towards manual, or is the automatic itself increased substantially over a period of time? And that's what we want to figure out. Now, why would such a question get asked? Probably the kind of margins and the profits that you make out of selling automatic transmission car may be higher. So it's, as a trend, you want to understand whether there is an increasing automatic transmission cars being put into the market in the used car market itself. So converting it into some hypothesis, so the pi is equal to 0.23. So we want to test out, is there a status quo, or is there really a change that has happened from the past? And of course the alternative hypothesis is really pi is not equal to 0.23. And the sample statistics that we are going to use, again we are going to use a sample size of about 1000, and the sample statistics is really the p hat, which is a percentage of automatic cars that are there currently on sale. So that proportion is going to be used as a sample statistic. And H0, which is pi is equal to 0.23, that's a value that is going to be used to compute the sigma. So if you remember, the formula for sigma for a proportion is really under root of pi into 1 minus pi divided by under root of n. So we are going to use the 0.23 value in the computation of the sigma for the computations of the statistic. And the test statistics that we are going to use is the z value. So this we could have used either a binomial distribution or a normal distribution. Because we are going to use a sample size of about 1000, we feel that the results are not likely to be very different, and therefore we are going to use the normal distribution and the z value. Again, the maximum uncertainty is fixed at about 0.05, and the computed uncertainty turns out to be 0.22. Therefore, we do not reject the null hypothesis, and we conclude that the proportion of automatic transmission car is no different from 0.23. Let's look at the summary, which is essentially we looked at about 1000 sample size. The proportion was really 0.214. So 0.214, 21.4%. Again, it's lower, but it's not substantially lower enough for this sample size and the kind of distribution that we have for you to conclude that the pi is different from 0.23. Okay, and therefore we conclude that pi is equal to 0.23. Of course, we use the z test, and the p-value output was 0.2. So the next item we are going to look is really the two sample test for mean, and the kind of question that gets asked is what happens to the price when the number of kilometers run is different. I mean, intuitively we know that the higher the number of kilometers that a car has run, and if it's going for sale, it's likely to fetch a lower price. But we want to know whether this is really true, and this operates in all kinds of ranges. To initiate an inquiry into this, so preliminarily we want to look at is the average price of cars that have run 30,000 to 60,000 kilometers. So that's a range. So all cars that have run that range of kilometers, is it different from the average price of cars that have run 70 to 90,000 kilometers? So this is not the full sample, so we are the full population. So we are now defining two subgroups in the population. One set of cars which have run 30 to 60,000 kilometers, and another group is 70,000 to 90,000 kilometers. There is absolutely no overlap between these two. So these are two independent samples that we have, and we want to test out whether the mean in one group is the same as the mean in the other group. So the hypothesis naturally is mu1 equal to mu2, and the alternative hypothesis is that mu1 is not equal to mu2. And because we are using two different samples, so we used sample size of 500 each, and so we get sample statistic, which is the x bar, but we are going to get two numbers, x1 bar and x2 bar, one indicating the average price in group 1 and the other one indicating the average price in group 2. and again we are going to use the sample standard deviation as an estimator for the population standard deviation. And let us look at what is the test statistic that we need. Now, the test statistics for when you want to compare means of independent populations, the choice of test statistic depends on whether the two groups have equal or unequal variance. So, the kind of the formula that gets used uses slightly there is a slight difference in the kind of formula that gets used to compute the test statistic. So, in cases where the variances are equal, there is one kind of formula that gets used, and the variances are not equal, a different formula gets used. So, before we answer whether mu1 equal to mu2, then we need to establish whether the variance between the two groups, whether they are similar or whether they are different. So, we need to do that testing before we can come back to understanding whether mu1 equal to mu2. So, let us do that test. And the question for that test is that the variance in price of cars that have run 30 to 60,000 kilometer is the same as the variance in price of cars that have run 70,000 to 90,000 kilometers. So, the hypothesis is in group 1 the variance sigma 1 square is that is equal to sigma 2 square, the variance in the group 2. The alternative hypothesis is that they are not equal, and we will use the variance that is computed from the sample S1 square and S2 square. Again we are using the same 500 sample. So, we use S1 square and S2 square as a sample statistic to understand whether sigma 1 square is equal to sigma 2 square, and we will use the F distribution and the F statistic to compute equality of variances. So, the F test is a very popular test that gets conducted to compare variances between groups. Again we are fixing the alpha at 0.05, and when we do the actual testing, we get a very low value. It is not actually 0, but it is very, very close to 0. So, the computed uncertainty P is very, very close to 0, which is much lower than the maximum uncertainty that we are allowing ourselves, which is 0.05. So, the decision is that we will reject the null hypothesis of sigma 1 square is equal to sigma 2 square, and we conclude that the variances between the two groups are different. Just summarizing it again, is we use sample size of 500 from each group, and we found the variances to be these the sample variances S1 square and S2 square to be these values. Now, these got units of dollar square, that is why they are very large numbers. We use the F test, and we got a very, very low p value, which is almost equal to 0. So, now that we have established that the variances between the two groups are different, they are not equal, let us go back to our original problem, that are the mean values between the two groups whether they are same. So, we are using again the same sample statistic, and the test statistic that we will use is something called a Welsh t statistics. Supposing the earlier test had indicated that the variances are equal between the two groups, we would have used a simple t statistics, whereas we are going to use a variation of the t statistics called the Welsh t statistics, because the variances turned out to be unequal between the two groups. So, we employ that test again with an alpha of 0.05, and we compute the uncertainty. The uncertainty again is very, very close to 0. Yeah, which again suggests to us that we can reject the null hypothesis, and therefore, we can conclude that mu1 is really not equal to mu2, which is essentially the price of the average price of used car in the 30 to 60,000 kilometer range is different from the average price of a used car in the 70 to 90,000 kilometers. Again, as a summary, so we use sample size of 500. If you notice, the mean value for the 30,000 to 60,000 was really about 14,515, and the mean value when the kilometer is much higher is about 9,450. So, you see a substantial difference here, and the substantial difference also proves out to be statistically significant differences, and therefore, the conclusion that mu1 is not equal to mu2. As I said, Welch t-test is the test that gets used, and this is the p-value that gets computed, which is very, very low. Let's move on to the next and the final test that we will carry out, which is a two-sample test for proportion. Here again, let's say the question that gets asked is, there's so much of concern about environment, and there are issues about diesel cars being more polluting, etc. Is it really reflecting in the kind of used cars that is coming into the market? So the idea is, if we take two different time periods, let's say those cars which are operationalized between 2014 and 18, and those which are operationalized between 2009 and 13, which really is a reflective of the age of the car. So we can look at it as those cars which have got an age of 0 to 5 years, and those cars which have got an age of 6 to 10 years. Is the proportion of the petrol cars in these two groups, are they similar or are they different? Again, because we are partitioning the data as two distinctive groups, those which have got an age of 0 to 5 and those which have got an age of 6 to 10, and there is absolutely no overlap between these two. These are independent groups, and we are computing a percentage of petrol cars from each of these, and that's a test statistic, that's a sample statistic, and we want to understand whether the population, whether we can conclude that whether there is a difference in the percentages or not. So obviously the hypothesis is that the pi 1 is equal to pi 2, pi 1 being the percentage of petrol cars in the recent cars, vis-a-vis pi 2 the percentage of petrol cars in the older cars. Alternative hypothesis being pi 1 is not equal to pi 2. And the sample statistics that we will use is again the p hat, and we will, because there are two different groups, we will have a p1 hat and a p2 hat. Yeah, and again we will use something called a pooled estimate of p hat to estimate the sigma for the distribution. And the test statistics that we are going to use is Z, because we are going to use sample size of about 500 each, large enough sample size in our estimation, and therefore a normal distribution should suffice, and therefore we will use a Z value. Again we are checking the alpha at 0.05, and the computed uncertainty turns out to be 0.59, which is way ahead of the maximum uncertainty that we are allowing ourselves with. Implication: we do not reject the null hypothesis, and we conclude that there is no difference in the percentage of petrol vehicles between the two time periods. Yeah. Again, looking at it as a summary, used sample size of about 1000 each, and we found the proportion of petrol vehicle is 0.506 in the older cars and 0.494 in the newer cars. Small difference. The difference is not sufficient enough for us to conclude that in the population that there is a difference. So that's why the test returns a conclusion which says, listen, there is not large enough difference in the samples for you to conclude that there is a difference in the population. So we conclude that there is absolutely no difference in the population values, in the population proportions of the petrol cars between the two different time periods. Obviously we use a Z test, and we got a test p value of 0.59. Yeah. So we've gone through 4 examples, a one sample test for proportion, a one sample test for mean, two sample test for mean, and a two sample test for proportion. These 4 tests, along with the F test that we did, broadly covers the kind of a large proportion of significance tests that gets done and the hypothesis testing that gets done. Word of caution, as I said, this is not the complete portfolio. There are other tests. There are many tests that are getting developed as we are talking, but these should suffice as a starting point for any learning on further inferential statistics. That concludes this session. Thank you.